Hey, as I was working on this set of videos, been having a lot of fun watching the NHL draft. The NFL draft has happened already, and just so cool to see all these teams. They're kind of building their teams, and they're trying to pick the best players. And I'm sure for those players, those young guys coming up, they want to go onto a team that is heading for a championship. Right? And all the players do. In fact, you see in trades that are done at the end of the season, a lot of people will sort of, let's put it this way, they jump off of a sinking ship to jump onto a team that's headed to the Stanley Cup. Everybody wants to be on that kind of a team. And so imagine being drafted and you just know that your team is never going anywhere. Like, you get to play hockey, you get to play pro ball, whatever it is, but that team is always going to just be a cellar dweller, man. They're always going to be at the bottom of everything. It's terrible. Because we want to be on the team that has this victory. And sometimes, here's the problem, is we see church as sometimes the losing team. And I think that's sad, and I think we got to correct that. I want to correct that today, because the thing that we're part of is not this, right? This is not the church. I'm in my church, but this is not at the heart of things what the church is. This is a place where the church meets. This is a place, right? We've got instruments and we sing here. There's preaching here. There's enough room for everybody to come and gather here. But the church isn't just here. The church is in people's living rooms. The church is on the bus, heading to school, in the minivan, on the way to work, or way to soccer practice. It's where people who believe in Jesus are, and where their faith is strengthened, where people experience, right, things like baptism. They experience things like the Lord's Supper. Now, again, those things typically take place in a church building, but it's not relegated to that, right? You could do baptism at the river or at somebody's pool. I mean, those things can happen, and I pray that they do. I pray that we're not stuck with buildings and thinking that that's what the church is. The church is God among His people, God bringing His people together. Jesus put it this way, when we want to talk about what the church really is and what our posture should be as we're reaching out. It's this, Matthew 16, verse 18. Jesus says to Peter, because Peter, Jesus had asked, who do people say that I am? And people had given a lot of different answers. And Peter says, you're the Christ, you're the Son of the living God. Wow. And he says, man, God gave you that answer. That was not an answer that you came up with. Or there was no other dude who whispered that into your ear. No, God told you that, filled your heart with that, gave you the ability to answer that way. That's faith, man, to be able to say that. And Jesus says, you're Peter. And he's kind of doing a play on Peter's name, which means rock. And he says, okay, upon what you've said, upon this confession and what you're going to live out. And that's what Peter did till his death, was to live this thing out and be that foundational guy for the church. Again, just one of many who were that way. But upon this rock, the rock of Christ, the rock of His truth, I'm going to build my church. Christ's truth is what this church is built on. And listen to this, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Man, you want to talk about being on the winning team. You want to talk about being part of something that's not going to change like everything changes in our world. That's not just subject to the latest whims or trends, or so I don't have to look at social media and go, man, what's cool now? Because I'm going to, because those things change all the time. What was cool and what makes you in and admired by people makes you get mocked within a week or two. It's true. That's the way the world is. But God, His love, man, it's eternal. That's amazing. We're part of something that even the gates of hell can't prevail against us. So let's not be backpedaling and being like, oh no, what are we going to do? But to say, man, I want to live my life in such a way that the devil is very nervous. Imagine if all of us in our churches were like, let's make the gates of hell begin to tremble and begin to freak out a little bit because God's church is coming for them, right? Because we're often thinking that they're coming for us. No. No, this is different. Jesus is saying that the gates of hell don't have a chance. Because Jesus won the victory. Death, the greatest weapon, the greatest thing, and all those weapons that the devil has, Jesus has defeated. He has given us armor against those things. He's given us His Word, His truth. So the devil can come at us and go, man, you're nothing. We can go, you know what? Yeah, you're right. But look at what Jesus did. Look at who He is. And He gives me hope. He gives me life. I have that because of Him, and I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to tell everybody about that. Is it going to be easy? No. And that's why we need each other. We need to support each other. So I want you to call somebody today and just encourage them as part of the church, or to be part of the church. Right? Jump in the ship with us, right? Because we're going, and the gates of hell can't prevail because of what God has done, and by virtue of who we are, we have that victory. So please hit that subscribe button. Share this with somebody. Share this victory, what God has done in whatever way that you can. All right? And I'm Pastor Fred. This is The Follow Through, and we'll talk to you next time.